There we go. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. I hope you're all having a good day. I see there's a bunch of people already in and waiting. That makes me a happy camper. And I see that everything is working well on my end. So, again, we're going to be going over the new Harley Benton 25th anniversary. That's crazy. I did not know that Harley Benton was that old. They had a whole new line of guitars in one finish only. And also about Marshall, no longer just being independently owned, going with the people that they've been working with in the past few years and what that might mean for the future going forward for them. I'm going to say hi to everybody first. James, you're back in Connecticut. You'd really grown to hate every visit to the South. The South's, I guess it depends where you are in the South, but Connecticut's too cold. Not a fan. Anywhere in the Northeast. Not going to find me there unless it's in the summertime. I saw the new gold strap, but double compared to the same. We'll get into some of those prices in a minute. Hey, Biff, how's it going? Greg, cheers. And Rafa, welcome in. All right, cool. Let's talk about some of these guitars. And Robbo. Yeah, and yesterday, I had the thing scheduled to go up at 8 a.m., and I didn't think twice about it. And then middle of the day, I checked my little app thing to see if anybody had watched the podcast I did with Rob, and it wasn't there. I scheduled it for today at 8 a.m., so I had to change it. That's why it was posted late yesterday, so my apologies, but that was a lot of fun, as always, with Rob. Okay, cool. So let's have a look at these guys. We'll go right into the Harley Bentons, because those are really popular people, and I'll tell you my thoughts, and potentially maybe we'll get one, maybe we won't, and if I do, which one it would be. So, Fire Miss Gold. I sure hope you like Fire Miss Gold, because that's it. And look at this, they actually made them for lefties too. I didn't even notice that. Now, all right, let's go back. Let's click on one, and we'll have a gander. God, okay, you can do it, guys. So TE 25th. First thing that I notice is this is a double bound version, which is pretty cool. Looks like it has a roasted maple neck. Let me see if this one has the stainless steel frets on it. It does. Ooh. So a very modern Telecaster, actually. I didn't actually click on this one. I clicked on a different model that had my interest, but that's really cool. Matching headstock on it. 22 stainless steel frets, 12-inch radius, so a very modern guitar, not too dissimilar to the TE62 in that sense, but also has the compensated brass saddles from Wilkinson on it. That's not bad. That's really not bad at all. Because I know the TE62, let's click this, see if this will pop up. $243, it's $100 more. It's $100 more, I believe. Yeah, give or take. $108 more than a traditional TE62. And you're getting pretty decent upgrades. I mean, that bridge upgrade's nice. Not that the Wilkinson compensated bridge is super expensive. But here's the other thing to keep in mind, too. It's $100 more with all those features I added in the roasted maple neck, the stainless steel frets, and all that. But it also comes with a gig bag. I mean, the lanyard is what it is. But it's practical to have a gig bag. So all of that for $100 more, that's not terrible value. That's really not. So well done. I dig that. Okay. The Fusion T, I'm not really going to go over that because we're going to go over the Fusion, the S style, the 3. And I'm just going to make sure here that all of these have the same things. Yeah, it looks like all of them now. Because this model didn't have stainless steel frets or a roasted maple neck either. And locking tuners too. Wow. That has a special thing on the back of the headstock. Couldn't really tell from that picture. Wish that they would be a little bit more transparent with that, but no, it's just a big old barcode. It's kind of weird, not gonna lie to you. But okay, let's see how much that costs. I'm gonna guess same price. $261 versus, yeah, it's about, again, $100 more, but same kind of upgrades, so to speak. Now, the last one I'm going to look at here is this one. because I really did like the Fusion 3. Oh, it even has it on the headstock, 25th anniversary. I wonder if these are going to be made in limited numbers. I would assume so. But the one thing I like about this guitar compared to a regular Fusion 3, this does not have Roswells. I really don't care for those pickups. This has the Teslas in it, which I think are much nicer. Plus, you get gig bag. But as somebody mentioned earlier, I think it was Danielle. Yeah, okay, so it's $406, but you do get the pickup upgrade. The stainless steel frets come standard on all these Fusion 3s, so that's not an upgrade, so to speak. And the gig bag. And some of these, as I'm scrolling across here, you're going to see are going to be a bit cheaper than that. If we go to the one that we had, yeah, as cheap as $279 from B Stock. Very similar guitars. Very similar guitars. But actually, there's one other thing, because that was a satin finish. Is the other one, is this a gloss finish or not? And then we'll get out of this part of it. It is satin. Okay, so this is also satin Fire Mist. All right, cool. But overall, I think it's pretty cool. Congratulations to Harley Benton for making it 25 years and certainly making a splash in this industry. If I was going to get one of these, this would be the one I would get. I'm not sure if I will. I really don't know. But yeah, I sent them some emails this morning regarding this and some other stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get out of there. Cool. So let me know down below. What do you think about those? And I'll catch up with the chat that I missed. 52 degrees and sunny. 52 degrees. You already lost me. Laurel fretboard hard pass. I don't like Laurel either. I don't like Laurel either. Doesn't matter what guitar it's on. Not a fan. But at least it looks nicer than Palfaro. Which I also don't really care for the feel of. If I'm being honest, I don't really like the feel of Palfaro outside of the fact that I don't think it looks great on top of that. Yeah, Rosewood would be ideal, but look at how cheap they are compared to other guitars. You know? And I don't remember. I think it was Marcus I was talking to earlier about this. I was like, I don't have a 24 fret guitar anymore. I would be much more likely to purchase that 25th anniversary Fusion 3 Harley Benton than a used PRS SE Custom 24. I'd be much more likely to do that. Because I actually think I like the HSS, but I also like the Teslas in general better than the GMP pickups that come in the S2s and the SEs. I really dislike those pickups in those PRS guitars. And then factor in stainless steel frets, and it's cheaper. And I know the build quality is good. I've had lots of Harley Bentons. It's been a long time since we've had one of these in for the channel. Yeah. Maybe we'll see how it goes. But I'm not rushing into anything. I'll have to, yeah, there are, the Tellys are the first ones we went over. They're 22 frets, double bound bodies, stainless steel frets, Wilkinson bridge. Very nice. $243 with the gig bag. That's very good. In my opinion, that's very good. Big fan. I have some Laurel that's darker than some Rosewood. Yeah, I think Laurel looks fine. Laurel looks better than Palfaro. It's just got this kind of like coarseness to it that I don't really vibe with on the models that I've played that have had it. But aesthetically, yeah, it looks great. The Teslas are much better pickups. Like the package sort of thing seems more put together. Yeah, part of me understands why they don't do it normally, but part of me doesn't. Part of me thinks, okay, you're trying to get this to the customer as affordably as possible. That's kind of the whole thing. You're getting more for your money than you are with Squire, Epiphone, or whatever have you, right? The other part of me says, if you go to Tolman's website, when you check out with one of those guitars that doesn't come with a gig bag, if you want to add in a gig bag, I think it's like $18. So you're not talking about a huge upcharge. Granted, it's not as nice of a gig bag as the one that we were looking at that came with a 25th anniversary. If you wanted to add one that nice, I think it's like $40. But even still, it's not terrible. But it would be nice if they did offer that as standard. especially once you get into the more premium models, like the Fusion 3s. I think all of those should come with the gig bag. They're pretty nice guitars. I hate both Laurel and Pal Ferro. I'm not going to say I hate it. I hate the look of Pal Ferro. I hate the look of Pal Ferro on Fender guitars. It's terrible. But I don't like them either, just being honest. Can't stand the feeling either. You're not a big fan of Rosewood? Well, I don't know what to tell you. You got other issues, my friend. Rosewood's the greatest. Yeah, I bought the base gig bag and it's quite weak, but it does the job. Yeah, it's like the Fender Japan stuff. But you can give Harley Benton a pass for giving a less expensive gig bag for $16 on a guitar that's $200 or less. Fender Japan, as much as I love Fender Japan, and I do, their gig bags are terrible. They're terrible. They're paper thin. They're like the ones that you would get in the late 90s, early 2000s on like entry level guitars. They're very poor. They're very poor. And it's a shame because those are the best production Fenders. The end of that statement. You can't beat a quality ebony fretboard. Yeah, I love the ebony on the Albatross, the 77. That guitar, man. I'm smiling thinking about it. Every time I get in a guitar and I'm like, oh, I really like this guitar. I'm like, this is pretty good, you know? I'll play the Albatross and I just hysterically laugh to myself. I don't care what the brand is of guitar or how expensive it is or not expensive. Like, if I had paid $5,000 for that guitar, if I had played that guitar in a store and you told me that was $5,000, I would have found a way to make it work. That is by far the best guitar I've ever owned. By far. Better than Fender Custom Shop, better than Gibson Custom, better than Core Paul Reed Smith. For what I like and oh my God. That's the best guitar. And to think that it was just over $1,000. It's hilarious. Just goes to show something doesn't need to be $1 billion to be exceptional. But that 77 Albatross, handmade. Oof. I anxiously wait the day that I can honestly say I found a better guitar than that. That I've played hundreds, if not thousands of guitars. That's the one. That's the one. I love that guitar. Best endorsement I could ever give. Cheap gig bags. Stop it, James. Stop it. You're trying to get me in trouble. Hey, Patrick, how's it going, man? Morning and afternoon. Yeah, I guess it depends where you are in the world, right? Guess it depends where you are in the world. But here it's noon. In the UK, what is it, 6? And on the West Coast, it's 9. And yeah, that makes me sad. The only reason it makes me sad is because this weekend, I got to stay here with my daughter. And my wife is going back for a few days to San Diego for a wedding for one of her best friends. And with school and all that stuff, it just, and just how expensive it is. So it's just like, yeah, you know what? We'll stay here as far as me and my kid. So she's going to go back home to San Diego. I'm going to be here in Florida. Wah. At least I'm not in Connecticut or New York or Canada. No problem with anybody from there. I just, the more north you go, the colder it gets. No, thank you. Not a big fan. Refinish the Albatross? No, I will never do that. I will never refinish that guitar. That guitar is perfect. Everything about it is perfect. I just smile ear to ear when I play that guitar. I really like the Ex Robato too. It's not as good. And the Momo say, it's hard to compare it because it's a Jaguar, but that's the best Jaguar I've played. And Lord knows if you just followed this YouTube channel, you don't know me like in my when I used to like just play Jaguars and record with Jaguars and all that stuff. Like I just they were always my second favorite Fender outside of the Tele. But I love recording with them. They're right up there. I haven't played one better than that. But the Albatross, man, that's like a proper this is like a full on instrument that is on this other level. I wish more people would have the opportunity to play guitars like that. It was eye-opening stuff, man. It was eye-opening stuff. Very lucky, man. Tell me about Florida after the next hurricane. Oh, we're fine. Well, you know what? I'd rather go through a hurricane in a few months than deal with blizzard multiple times a year. I used to shovel snow. I remember what it's like. I lived in New York for a long time. Look, Florida ain't perfect. I don't love it here, but I don't hate it. It is what it is. Hello from Israel. Aviv, you ordered 2. Very good. TL69, very nice. That's the thin line, right? I like that one. Now Harley Benton would be. I'd be in big trouble with Harley Benton. They made a paisley finish that wasn't black on a thin line Telecaster or a blue flower one. They should do that, and they should do it purple, and they should have the flowers be turquoise with a thin line, a chopped Wilkinson bridge, and 2 TV Jones. They're not going to put in real TV Jones because it'd be worth more than the guitar. 2 TV Jones style Gretsch pickups. And that'll be the Audiomo guitar. What's his name? Max. I'm trying to think of his YouTube name. Guitar Max. He got a signature guitar. Where's mine? I'm a big deal. I'm obsessed with Japanese guitars that I can't even shill product codes or affiliate links to. I'm a fool. I'm telling you all to go buy guitars I can't even get a back end on. Idiot. I need to just start shilling more of this other shit. But in all seriousness, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a very interesting look. A purple paisley with turquoise to match the logo. Yeah. Never going to happen. They're never building me anything. But you can dream. The video you did on the Harley Benton MR Modern, I can't keep my eyes off it. What upgrade would you do to it? Can P90 pick up or upgraded wires? You can the MR Modern, I don't necessarily think I would upgrade anything on it. Because I think if you're looking at a guitar like the MR Modern, which is the Mossrite inspired instrument, you're going to want to play some like punk rock or like thrashier indie on that guitar, and the pickups that are in it, they're going to cover that just fine. You don't buy a guitar like that for the glassy clean tones. You know what I mean? Because if you're looking for glassy clean tones, you're not looking at that guitar. I wouldn't really change much on it. I thought the hardware was fine. Yeah. No, I wouldn't upgrade anything on that guitar. If I still had it and I really dug that and I wanted a guitar that made that kind of sounds, I'd be happy with it as it is. And pink pickup covers, that's too far. There's no pink in my logo. You can see the logo. Look under the stream right now. You can see the colors in it. Black, white, purple, and teal. My wife made that logo. So yeah, that's it. So you have the flower outlines be the teal. And then you have the different shades of purple, some black. Look at this. I just came up with a great guitar design. I'd buy the hell out of that guitar too. Harley Benton, if you ever watch this, I would buy the hell out of that guitar. You don't even need to call it after me. Just make it. Because I'm not paying a custom shop builder to build that. And I'm sure as hell not doing wallpaper on a guitar the right way. I don't know what I'm doing. Yep, one for me, the Strat's for my kid. He will take it with him. He's in the Army. That's great, Aviv. And you saved on the shipping too, man. Which is cool. That's the other thing that's always been great about Tolman. You get 2 guitars for the price of one as far as the shipping goes. Although, when I checked this morning, it's up to $82 to the United States. And some people will scoff and genuinely complain about that. And I think that part of the reason for that is because when Harley Benton when people first started buying guitars from Tolman, it was like $30. And the cool thing about the $30 was it was still fast. Not that it's not fast now, but it was the same speed. I think it was 3 days. And you'd have the guitar in the United States in your hand, and you could get up to, I think it was 2 or 3 in the same box. How cool is that? So you do what Aviv did. 1 or 2 of your buddies want to buy your guitars. You all buy them, and then you just split it. It's awesome. Oh, thank you so much, Mark, and thank you so much, Patrick. Appreciate the top chat, super chat thing. I think that's what they call it. Yeah, and I like the bird logo that turns into a pear, and he's dropping a microphone. Not up on my emotes. How do you buy in US dollars from Tolman? Simple. You go, you check out. Once you put in your address, it automatically converts everything into US dollars. That's how. And the reason it pops up in US dollars on my end here is because I'm logged in on my Tolman account. So it knows I'm paying in US dollars. And then everything is done right there. You'll pay through PayPal. That's the easiest way to do it. Easy. I was going to say use my promo code. I don't think I have one. I'm bad at this. I'm good at everything except monetizing it. Because I don't know. I just feel like it feels weird. It feels like forced and like, I don't know. I do have an affiliate link somewhere. But yeah. If you use it, use it. If you don't, you don't. Obviously, if you watch the videos, I don't talk about it very much. Which is, again, probably not the wisest thing financially on my end. I should do that more. But it is what it is. They have a reverb shop. Yes, they do. They do, but you're not. Some of the cons to that, first of all, you're limited on what you have available. Like these guitars that just were released, they're not on a reverb shop in the USA. You're only getting them direct from Tolman. That's the first thing. And not every model that's on Tolman's website, even if it's older, is available on the reverb shop. The second thing is what we were just talking about, getting two guitars shipped together. You're not getting that from the US shop because it's shipping from a warehouse in Baltimore, I believe. Baltimore, Maryland. So they're not going to do the same thing that you would do buying from Tolman directly. And then obviously you're paying tax on top of that. I mean, the prices are pretty comparable, but you still save a little bit buying direct. That's the way to do it. Ask Hans for a link, dude. It's mailbox money. It's not much, but everything helped. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, Greg, that's exactly part of the problem. The reverb shop, it's not always up to date. But one thing I do like about the reverb shop is what they have is what they have. Like you won't make an order on the reverb shop and then get an email potentially a day later and be like, sorry, we accidentally sold out. I've had that happen before with Tolman and I've paid. And they're like, would you like to wait 3 weeks or 14 weeks? And I'm like, no, I don't want to wait 14 weeks for this guitar. Thank you. We'll do something else. What do you say about people saying you need to feel the guitar? You can do it when you order from Tolman. You can't do it when you feel from Tolman. I think feel is important. And out of all the parts of an electric guitar, the most important part to me is the neck. And it doesn't matter if I'm talking about a Harley Benton, Fender Custom Shop, or a Japanese made guitar. They could all be made great, or they could all be made conservatively to meet a price point. However, if the neck feels great, none of that stuff matters. The neck is the most important thing. But to regards to your actual question and your point, it's a lot easier to do it when the guitar is on the lower side of the price spectrum here. When the guitar is a Harley Benton that is maximum $400, $450. Because outside of the really crazy 7 strings and things like that, I think that's where they top out price-wise, about $450. That's a lot easier to gamble on versus $3,000, $4,000, or even $2,000, sight unseen. Depending on your financial situation and the return policy of the place you're going from, that could be a deal breaker. And there are a lot of places in the world that are not as spoiled as the UK and America in the sense that guitar stores are not as common. People take that for granted, and I know this from being around and from traveling, but I'm going to transfer this to something I saw on the gear page the other day. Somebody from a different country made a post like, Guitar Center is the greatest guitar store I've ever been in. Now, if you live in America and you see somebody write that, you're like, yeah, this is a troll bait thing. No, because where he lived, there were no guitar stores where they would just let you play all of these guitars, had all the brands, had so much inventory in general, and he just had an experience like nothing he had never had before. In America, we're just like, oh, Guitar Center sucks, da 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 da. But to other places in the world, they'd kill to have even just one in their country. They don't have it. So it's all about, sometimes being a little gracious. And again, I'm not saying Guitar Center is the best place in the world, but sometimes we take what we have for granted. And that was a good example of it. Okay, did you notice Andertons is selling Fujigen guitars now? Yeah, and I'm happy for them. Not Andertons. Not that I dislike Andertons, but I'm happy for Fujigen to be getting out there. This is like the 5th time they've made house brands. I'm happy that they're starting to appeal to other people and get into a bigger part of the market share because they make great guitars. They always have. Even with the cool Z's, circle fret system, which is very innovative at the time, actually. Nice Gibson and Fender style guitars, so to speak, but very, very affordable because there's no brand power. Brand power is everything, and nobody knew who Cool Z was or were made by unless you were a freak like me who's just obsessed with Japanese guitars and cars and culture and morals and way of life. And yeah, I like Japan a lot. Not just anime. All right, look up the same store in Germany. The Squier 60s Jaguar MH is limited to 500 in all of Europe, and I like that guitar too. Yeah, they get a bunch of those. They're pretty cool. All the special runs. They had some of the Esquires and the regular classic vibe tele customs in colors that we didn't get here in America. Like Candy Tangerine and Candy Green, stuff like that. And now it's crazy because they actually sell, but in the United States, people that imported those for $300-400 are able to sell them for double. They don't take home double because of reverb fees and shipping, but they still make a profit. So something to think about if you want one of those. 2 cabs in the back. Do they have creambacks? If so, what do you prefer between the 2 cabs? I only have one actual dedicated cab. The Victory is a straight up combo. That has a creamback in it, G12H, and the Friedman has a creamback in it, G12M, I believe. Now, I think that's a perfect match with the Pink Taco version 2. I like both, but I actually feel like, and this is weird to say, but the Victory is made to sound more like a Fender style amp. Okay, 6L6s, that kind of thing, a very American sound. Whereas the Friedman is a gain monster. I feel like the high frequencies come through a little bit clearer in a way that I like in the Friedman cab. I really, really like that cabinet. I've tried the Tone King through it too. It sounds awesome. Makes the Tone King, which already sounds great, but it makes it sound just that little bit bigger. It's a really cool thing. Not something you would ever think somebody would try. A little 5-watt blackface inspired Tone King amp plugged into a Friedman closed back 1x12. But that's why you experiment. That's why you have fun. You find odd combinations between gear that works for you. But creambacks in general, I love them. I like them better than vintage 30s. Vintage 30s are a little harsh to me. A little scoopy too. But that falls down to genres that I play. I like the funk and lots of clear neck pickup tones. So for me, I prefer the creambacks. Didn't think I was talking about speakers today, but that's cool. I'd love to do that more often. All right. I just checked that Squire. It does look sharp. Your take on the Kurt Cobain Jaguar for $1,500. That's overpriced. I think it's overpriced. I think if you could get one of those used for half that, you're in great shape. But you're paying for the name at that point. And that's one thing, like, you understand why these companies do it. You do. But we have to do our own due diligence and sometimes take a step back from the situation and say, yeah, is it worth the extra cost when there are comparable guitars that, are less and potentially built much better? Like those Japanese guitars I just linked the other day, dude. We made the Made in Japan video. Those new Jaguars, the FSRs, with the bound and block inlaid necks, forget it. And the matching headstock. You're going to tell me I could have that for a few $100s less than a Cobain Jag? I'm not even considering it. I'm taking the Japanese made one every single day of the week, twice on Sunday. And saving money. For getting a Les Paul style with a Floyd. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Because those Access Les Pauls are not cheap. The Gibsons that come with the Floyd. And I've always be afraid of that. But there's a guy who I used to talk to that does YouTube too. Peg. Did a lot of cover songs and stuff like that, and working with other YouTubers making their own kind of stuff. It was really cool. But he used a Harley Benton Les Paul custom style guitar with a Floyd on it. And I was like, that's a very inexpensive way to get into that. See if you'd like it. So I agree. I'm thinking of getting a Rapier Sapphire vintage guitar, a quirky guitar for sure. I already have 3. The Rapier 33 with mini humbuckers. I like mini humbuckers. If you get a good deal on it, go ahead. Knock yourself out. Really cool. I like the Tangerine. Yeah, the Kanji Tangerine is cool. I had a Strat. I had a hybrid 60 Strat from Japan that was Candy Tangerine. I believe it was one of the first videos I uploaded on the YouTube. I don't even think I did a review. I think I just posted myself playing through the HX Stomp saying, buy this guitar at audiomomusic.com/shop. Like, it was really bad editing. I had no idea what I was doing. It looked like a 5-year-old just learned how to use iMovie for the first time, even though I had Final Cut. I was a fool. But yeah, gorgeous color. I digress. Greenbacks. Greenbacks are awesome too for a more British sound. For me. I actually think I prefer the greenbacks in modern Voxes, the import made ones, versus the Alnico Blues. They're a little more even, a little bit more versatile. Yeah, it's not the pure Vox sound compared to the Blues, but you can do a lot more with that speaker, the greenback, that comes in the Vox combos these days, the AC15 and AC30s. You've been wanting the Cobain Jag since early 2000s with Fender Mexico prices. I think it's a deal with the DiMarzios over 300 in pickups. If you love those pickups. That's the other thing. You got to love them. And you're going to love them through your rig. Is your rig going to work with it? Because everything sounds good on paper. Like, I've had guitars that everything checked out in my head. Like this, I know what amps I have. I know how my room sounds. I know what I play. I know what pedals I use. This is going to sound perfect. I get the guitar in person. I play it for 2 minutes, and I'm like, this ain't going to work. And it ain't a thing about pickup height. It ain't a thing about settings on the amp. Sometimes it just don't match up. But do whatever you want, period. If you really want any guitar, doesn't matter if it's a Cobain Jag, a Harley Benton, PRS, SG even. If it's what you really want, and you know it's what you really want, you don't need to convince yourself. You don't need to convince anybody else. Save your money up and look for the best price you can get on one and buy it. And be done with it. And if you hate it, hope you bought from somewhere with a return policy or that it's an item that you can easily move onward. Easy as that. That's a lot of money going from US dollars to Mexican pesos. Yeah, it is. A collar on a Les Paul over Floyd seems like a no-brainer. Yeah. I had a collar on a Strat. 1984 Fender Japan SQ Squire Stratocaster. Big 70s headstock. Maple fingerboard. Gnarly. Collars were gnarly. The tension on it was weird, though. I didn't like it. It felt way too tense. So I ended up selling that guitar. I wish I didn't. Just for the fact that I paid nothing for it. I think I paid $200 for it. I should have just kept it for the memory. The old Fender Japan stuff, even though it was a Squire. I'm a fool. Probably worth a fortune these days. I'm starting to see some Suhr guitars priced pretty low used on Reverb. Do you have much experience with Suhr, and what price would you consider worth it? What model you want, man? Because there's always one Suhr guitar. One Suhr guitar I look for at the right price. And I only look for it at this price because I've seen it at this price before at Dave's. I'll tell you what guitar that is and what price it is. That is the Alt T for $19.99. You find me a Suhr Alt T for $19.99, preferably from a place where I'm not paying sales tax, I'm going to have a very hard time saying no to it. I really like that guitar, man. Out of all the Suhr guitars I've played, I played a few of them. Like I played a lot of them, but not like extensively outside of like, oh, I'm sitting with a guitar store for 5 minutes or blah 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 blah. The ones that I've played, like really sat down and have gotten to play, that I've really liked. I really like the Mateus Asado Stratocaster. That guitar has such a good vibe to it and such a great feeling neck. I did not care for the Pete Thorn, if I'm just being honest with you. It's just not my thing. And the Alt T. The Alt T has this, like, it's such a unique kind of vibe to it. Because it's like, you know what guitar it kind of reminds me of? The Alt T? The Albatross a little bit. I think that's why I'm kind of drawn to it. It really did. It reminded me of a more modern kind of Albatross. Great neck on those guitars. And those pickups that are in it, the Thornbuckers, they match that guitar very well. I like that there's no push-pull and that it's just a 5-way selector switch to get all the combinations of pickups. It's just a killer sounding guitar. And it's a killer feeling guitar to play. I really like it. As far as prices, I like. With the Alt T, I like too. The Classic S and the Classic Ts, you'd have to be even significantly less than that, only because that's a saturated market. And at that point, I'd rather just buy another Momo Say for half that. But I know you like the Pete Thorn. So I'm going to see if you responded. The Sir Moderns are in the low 2000s. That's a good price, man. Before you buy anything, call Humbucker Music. Just a heads up. Just call them directly, see what they have in stock, and see what they'll do for you. They're a very good shop. Take the hint. Great score on the Snake. Cool. Okay, so I missed one. You have Marzio Super Distortion pickups that have been around since the 70s, certain over thousands of records, many concerts. Yeah, I understand that, but so have Hot Rails. Hot Rails have been on tons of records too. I still think they sound like crap. Gibson Burstbuckers, for the most part, not very good. Hell, there's a general thing here with Fender Telecasters. Neck pickups, not very good. Doesn't matter what they are. But that's my own personal taste. My own personal thing. You get what I'm saying? So if you like that sound and you have all these records that had the DiMarzios in them, also, were they all played in Jags? Because that's going to make a big difference too. If the Super Distortions aren't all on the same guitar, it is what it is. I'm not trying to say anything bad about DiMarzios. I like DiMarzio as a brand. So if you like what you like, just buy it, man. Just buy it. You don't need a little old me on YouTube. You don't need me to be totally on the same board. I don't like the idea of a Mexican-made guitar for $1,500 from Fender. I don't like it. I've had enough modern Fender Mexico guitars to know it's not just $1,500, and also know that I could just buy a better guitar for less from Japan. But they don't make the Kurt Cobain one with the DiMarzios. So you're at an impasse. Just make a decision. Just buy what you want. I'm just telling you what I would do in my opinion on it. That's all. Okay. I never go on Sweetwater. Maybe you covered this. Looking at this Shoreline Gold Jazzmaster. Gold foils, mahogany body, ebony fingerboard, Bigsby. Anybody seen this? Unfortunately, I have seen it. And I don't say unfortunately I've seen it. I've seen it. Unfortunately, I think it was Rafa was talking about, there was a guitar demo of that guitar that's posted to YouTube that must have been a pretty decent sized channel, because Rafa's the one that found it, and I know he follows a lot of the bigger stuff. And that guitar literally wasn't assembled out of the box as a finished guitar, as in the Bigsby wasn't connected properly or secured down, and there was multiple other stuff that he said was wrong with it, and that just scares me with Fender Mexico in general. Again, and I'll hit on this real quick because we got a lot of people watching today. A few months ago, I said I was starting on a project, and I'm still working on it. And that project was breaking stereotypes, because when it comes to import guitars, whether it's Mexico, Japan, Asia, China, Indonesia, there are certain stereotypes about certain ones. And certain places get hit way worse because of wages. Oh, these people are paid like slaves, da 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 da. And then other places, it's just like nobody says anything bad about. Let me tell you something. I lived 15 minutes from Tijuana in San Diego, California. I've been to the Ensenada factory. I know people that have worked there. They don't pay well. They actually pay lower than the median average. Bordering on the poverty line, like, of jobs. It's one of the worst paying jobs you can get in Ensenada. Okay? Somehow, that information is just not all out there for people for obviously good reasons on Fender's behalf. And these poor people, not only, I mean, the wages are what they are, but think about how much production they're forced to do for that and working 6 days a week in many cases, and overtime in many cases, but that's to be expected. You're going to have churn with a work environment like that. If you're not familiar with what churn is, it's just employees coming, going, next employee in, next employee out, stuff like that. That's normal for any business, right? But the Mexican guitars that are costing $1,500, $1,600 at this point, the drill strummer was what, $1,900? You're taking a piss. Knowing what those people are getting paid and being okay with it? Nope. I can't do it. Would you link that the Jazzmaster Gold foil? Yeah. I don't know, but I'm telling you guys, it was genuinely eye-opening. And if you want to just for your own research and own fun here, go to Mexico's Glassdoor, which is a job website. You can see the opening jobs at Ensenada for Fender. Look at the pay, convert it. You can do this on your own. Don't take my word for it. Then Google median average wage and salary in Ensenada, Mexico. Okay? And then look at the two of them and say to yourself, oh my God, it would take this person months to be able to afford a Player Plus if they didn't even pay their rent or didn't pay this or didn't pay that. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway. Jim, why don't you buy some Fender from the 80s or 90s? Better quality wooden pickups. I've had several. Plus, I had the ultimate Fender from the 80s. I'm not getting better than that. And I had the second ultimate Fender from the 80s for a long time. The American version of it. I have a JV, which is the original Japan vintage. It's dated December 1982 on the neck. That's as good as I'm getting from the 80s. Period. I don't care about Fender USA. That Japanese Fender is just chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. I'd like to get one of the first reissue blue floral Telecasters or a JV pink Telecaster. Those were only built in 84. They were not in 83. But there were very few of them made. If I could find one in great shape at a non-freaking exorbitant price, I'd buy one of those in a second. As far as American Fenders go, I had the second, well, technically they made them in late 1985 too. A 1988 62 Corona reissue Stratocaster in surf green. And I gigged with that guitar for a long time. I did all my promo stuff with the Day-to-Day band for the first album. All of that stuff is me on Sunset Cliffs with that guitar. I loved that guitar. Well, when I this was the same time I sold the black custom top Telecaster that wasn't destroyed from the factory. When I sold those two guitars, it was bad COVID time, and I knew that they were my most valuable guitars outside of the Jazzmaster, but I couldn't sell that one. It means too much to my wife. Problem is, now if I wanted to go back and buy one of those 80s American vintage guitars, I'd be lucky to spend $3,000. I'd be lucky for one in good shape that doesn't have a refinish or a refret or anything like that. That's all original. I'd be very lucky. And then the earlier ones, the Fullertons, which people say are better than the JVs, which were made in America at 1982 to 1984. I think they're very grossly overpriced for what they are. I'd much rather have a JV. And I think the JVs are a little bit better. But that's just me. And remember, in 1984, not many guitars were made in America. The Fullerton plant was transitioning to the Corona plant. So things didn't really kick back into gear until, I think it was late 85, mid 85. And then from there on out, the American Vintage, all that stuff. And the American Vintage guitars were so good and so well received that the Fender Custom Shop was born. And many of the people who built those early American Vintage guitars became the names that we all know today as some of the most famed builders of custom shop vendors, including John Cruz, who, kind of got himself in trouble. I did the Jag Stang Japan made, and it was not good. Kept years of sold at a profit. Yeah, I don't like it. I've never liked the Jag Stang. Any version of it. Any version of the Jag Stang. Just, they're weird guitars. They feel weird. The tension, even though the scale length is something I could get along with, the tension's weird on them. They're ugly in my opinion. It doesn't matter if that's made in Japan or Mexico. Not a fan. Gold foil, broken from the factory. I hate to say that. I enjoy Squier Classic vibe more than Mexican Fender. I agree with you on that. If I was to choose between the two, that's the route I would go. Thought experiment. How would your life be different if I had blonde hair? I would have been bullied more. I would have been bullied more growing up. I mean, I have a very bright light shining on me, so I'm very white. But I mean, I was born in Colombia, in Bogota, and I grew up in New York, and I was always the darkest person. I was always outside on my skateboard. Always outside on my skateboard, getting the sun. And I was always the darkest. I used to get called the Mexican. So if I was Mexican, or if I was the Mexican, and I had blonde hair on top of that, I either would have turned out to have been like a mini Ronaldo and been an exceptional footballer, or I just would have been bullied more and been just angrier at the world. Probably would have started drinking earlier. You should do separate videos on worker wages at name brand guitar factories. Your messages are going to get buried in a live stream. Yeah, well, Marco, that's why I'm streaming from this computer. This computer, I have folders filled with so much stuff. And this is one that, like, there's some videos I say, oh, I want to take my time on this, or I want to make sure the sounds are right. No, I want to have concrete everything before I do it. And this is a long process because I want it to be 100% factual. And honestly, what I really want to do, before I do it, I want to go back to San Diego so I can go back to Ensenada itself and talk to some of my old friends and Tijuana, because people from Tijuana go to Ensenada to work, and get firsthand experience with a microphone and a camera right on them, because that's going to say a lot too, more than just random guy in his room. If I actually go on the scene, because I used to spend time there all the time. TJ is a fun place. Not the safest place if you're not very smart, but fun place. But don't you worry, we're getting there. Confirm my suspicion. In 2019, made in Japan, offset telly, P90 neck. There you go. Attaboy. Those are great guitars, and I appreciate that. I'll always look for a deal on a 90s made in Japan guitar. I really want to add a high-quality quilted maple top to my collection. Well, some of those are really good. Some of those are the photo flames. Just be aware of that. There's a difference between the top and the photo flame, but I know that you're not new to Japanese guitars. You know that. But in case anybody's watching this, you should know that. And some of the earliest editions of those photo flames were quite literally, as the name would describe, photos. Pretty sure all flame and cold tops finishes in the 90s, unless they were custom shop, were just a veneer. Yeah, that's what I... See, the comment came in a little bit after I said that, but yeah. The vast majority of them were like that. They're not actual quilted tops. Not like a certain guitar that we played on Tuesday. That's a very, very audacious color on this channel. We'll be seeing that guitar tomorrow. Got a little bit more work to do on it. But yeah, no, cool guitars. And the last thing about Fender Japan with the 90s, I know there's two things that really, really bother me. I almost said a really bad word because it actually bothers me this much. When you go to these places on Reverb that sell these guitars, right? Not only are they charging you out of your nose for it, there's a few red flags I want you to have in your head. If you see these in a listing, I would run from the shop. The first is anybody who calls the 90s the golden age of Fender Japan, the 90s, the golden age of Fender Japan, they are trying to justify their prices. That was not the golden age of Fender Japan. Stop it. Fender Japan was great in the 90s. Do not get me wrong. But golden age? Just no. The second term that you should be very aware of, because it's just weird and not a thing, is when people write post-JV era. It's like they're trying to find a way to implement JV into the search term, and maybe you won't know any better, and they're like, oh, this was like just right after it. No, this guitar was made 10 years after the JV era. Technically, right now, I could write 2022 Fender Takashi Kato Stratocaster post-JV era, and I wouldn't be lying, because technically it is post-JV era, but it's still a stupid thing to write. There's no such thing as that, as far as like any significance to it. So anybody, if you see somebody say that in their ad, it's garbage. They're trying to get more than what the guitar would normally sell for in Japan, because I know not everybody's like me and some of the other people that really just, I browse tons of shops all the time in Japan. So I have a very idea of what pricing actually is. And just, I get it. Everyone's in a business. I like to make money too. I do. But there's ways of making money being honest and upfront. There's ways of just trying to convince somebody they're getting something more special or better than they really are. And those two things I just mentioned, they're trying to do that by doing that, because they're just making up fluff BS to throw into the ad. Just some food for thought. Okay. The wage issue, quality versus price and play turnover is not lost on me. Only Max guitar I have is a Squier Strat used. I never had a single coil Strat. Was unsure if I was a Strat guy. I am. Strats are great. Strats are great. And I don't know, man. It's just like, me personally, I don't want to. I just want really well-made instruments for an affordable price. You know what I mean? I mean, not that I need to buy too many more. If I had to stop buying guitars, which I didn't, if I had to stop buying guitars, it would be fine. I'd live. I could easily make it the rest of my life. I just need a lot of strings. But I'm talking about just like for the community, because I see people are just like accepting of getting inferiorly made products. And when I say inferiorly made products, like, you order a $1,400 guitar, right? Brand new from one of those big companies that we've talked about on the stream. I'm not even going to mention it. You guys are going to know where I'm going with this, right? You order that guitar. It comes in, and the frets are not even close to level. The fret edges are not even remotely close to smooth. The guitar needs a serious setup. What if the electronics weren't installed correctly? None of that's, well, outside of the electronics being uninstalled correctly. If all that other stuff, though, with the frets, that's not covered. You're going to have to pay out of pocket to get all that fixed. When you spend that kind of money on a guitar, knowing what I know about these other guitar brands that actually have pride in their work and they care about the customer first, not just the private equity, like these places in Japan and other places in the world, that's unacceptable. They won't send that out the door. But in this country, people will get that, go through the trouble, spend an extra $200 to have a tech fix the guitar to be playable out of the box and the way that it pretty much should be. No guitar should come perfect. You get really lucky if it does, but they should all be playable, and they shouldn't have those kinds of problems for that kind of price. In this country, we're okay with it. We're like, oh, whatever it is, it's fine. Would you be fine with it if you knew that they were being paid freaking pennies on top of that, and you still paid that much for that guitar? It's a big picture, man. It's not just one moving part. There's many things to consider here. So, that's it. Did you catch the Heritage link I put at the beginning of the show? It didn't pop up. I'm at the beginning of the show right now. I just looked. Rex, it ain't popping up, buddy. Shoot me an email. I've already seen a few of the Heritages for sale. The one I have interest in is not going to be available until June. And I have a few people. It's funny. Again, I need to find a way to monetize this. People are like, how can you? They're like, can you do this? And I just I give all this the information away. I'm just an idiot. But I mean, on a serious note, with the Heritage line of guitars, right now it's only the Candy Apples in the not the Jazzmaster, in the Stratocaster and the Tele-Custom. And then every month, new models are going to get put out in different variations of color. If you're up on the schedule, you'll know what I'm looking for when I tell you I'm waiting until June. But we'll have to wait. We'll see from there. However, I have a guitar that I need to finish part of a demo on. Otherwise, you're just going to be watching me talk about a guitar on a guitar review tomorrow, and I don't think that would go over very well. I think most people, when they click on a guitar review, they'd like to hear the guitar itself being played. So we're going to use the Tone King amp, and we're going to check out Pink Telly. Hell of a guitar. Hell of a guitar. Read these last ones and we'll get going. I need a SSS Strat and I need to keep it 1200. I want it to be new. What would you recommend? I would recommend you go to kinkomusic.com and buy a traditional 60s Stratocaster or a Hybrid 2 Stratocaster. Made in Japan, brand new. And they will both cost less than what you're wanting for everything, including the shipping. You'll be good. Send them an email. Ask for Kaz. Well, you don't have to ask for Kaz. Just address it to Kaz. He speaks perfect English. Nicest guy in the world. Very good person. I can't count the number of conversations I've had with him. It just veered off kind of like this thing where I'm talking to you guys. It becomes more than just a business thing. He's somebody I actually really like as a guy. He's a good dude. Email him. kinkomusic.com. And then just, the about or contact us section. Have at it. That's where I would go. 100%. You get a brand new guitar, and you're going to be smiling. Guaranteed. Last thing here. I'm going to buy that Harley Benton MR Modern. There you go. I know it's not something now. People wouldn't pay more for the big boys companies except, well, maybe they wouldn't. But you don't have to worry about other people. There's one thing I've beaten to death here over the past few weeks and over the course of this stream. You shouldn't give a shit what anybody says. You should play what you like. And have fun doing it. And stop focusing so much on it in general. That's myself included in that. If once you get what you want, play it. And right now, I have something I like. And I am going to go play it. And then you guys are going to watch it. Because I'm filming it right now. And I got an hour and a half. Because I got to run out, buy a little bit of food. Then I got to pick up my kid from school, film. Thank you all for watching. I know this is a very abrupt end. Hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. I always enjoy talking to you guys. We had more people than normal on here. Maybe it's because of the Harley Bentons. You guys love those. If you want me to buy one of those, leave me a comment. It's going to cost $20,000 in super chats for me to get one. Fucking around. I don't know. I'll wait and hear back from Tolman. And we'll see what they can do. I have some credit points. And maybe they'll take some money off for me. And we'll make it work. But other than that, I'm out of here. Thank you guys. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. If not, I'll see you on